Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my go-to glam makeup tutorial. I've had a lot of you ask about my go-to look. A lot of the times when I'm filming, I do my go-to look off camera and then I come on camera and you guys want to know how I did my makeup, what I used. So I'm going to go ahead and do my full tutorial, my full glam. Let's say if I was going out right now, going to a concert, going for dinner and drinks, and I really want to glam it up, that's what I'm going to do for you guys today. I also will be mentioning some products here and there that maybe I would alternate. For instance, for foundation, I have 2 or 3 that I switch through, and it really just is a matter of what self-tan color am I, how long am I going to be wearing my makeup, do I need more coverage that day? So I'll kind of give you some alternatives. Let's just say this is like my most used products and my go-to look. So I'll kind of give you, today I'm going to use this blush, but I also would reach for this blush, etc., etc. So I will link all the products I talk about and use today down below. If you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and let's go ahead and begin. So I feel like I haven't done a go-to makeup look in a while. I've done trying new makeup, but I haven't done like my go-to sit down. Let's say I was gonna get married or I was going out and I really wanted to look my best. So I've actually changed a lot of things. If you've been watching my videos, you probably realized that recently, or noticed that recently I've been doing my eyes first. I never used to do that. So I've kind of switched things around. I found that my eyebrows turn out better when I do my eyes first, and also my winged liner turns out better. If I do mess it up, it's so much easier to fix when I don't have any foundation on, because I can really sharpen the wing and make sure that everything looks nice and crisp. So the first step for me is to do a line underneath my brow, tracing out where I want my brows to be. I've noticed that if I do this over foundation and I mess it up, it's really hard to correct. So that's why I feel like my brows turn out better, because if I go too low or maybe it's a little bit jaggedy, instead of using a concealer just to try to cover it up, I will just remove it and redo the line. So that helps me. I have finicky brows. I don't have a lot of brows to work with, so I really need that line underneath to give me a base to start. And then I go in and I prime my lid, but also cover up the tail of my brow. I've been liking a more lifted brow, and unfortunately, I never really thought about that when I got my brows microbladed. I don't regret getting my brows microbladed because I do feel more comfortable without makeup because I have something there, but it is hard to cover this tail. It's just dark and hard to cover, even with high coverage concealers. I found that this works the best, but I mix my Kimchi Chic, this is a really high coverage concealer, and I use the shade Medium Beige. I mix it with my P. Louise base, which is in Rumor 2. So something about these two together, the high coverage consistency does me well for covering and priming my lid. So essentially, I just line under my brow and just really sharpen that up, make sure that I have that line nice and sharp, and I cover the tail end. Obviously we blend afterwards, but I do need quite a bit of product to cover the tail. So I start out with something like this. It just makes it so much easier for me to have that sharp, crisp line on the underside of my brow. And then sometimes I just use my finger and I'll just sort of pull this down. Sometimes I use a brush. Does anyone feel like the geese are out of control by their house right now? I think it's like mating time where they're nesting, but oh my goodness. We back up to a pond, which I actually love just because it's so peaceful and I don't have like a neighbor right behind us. But I will say the geese are like out of control lately. I love animals, so it doesn't bother me, but like they're squawking in the mornings. It's like a damn rooster. And I'm like, listen, we do not need squawking for 3 hours straight from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. every single day. And they're landing like on my house, on my neighbor's roof, just like I think they're like mate calling, or they're like stay away from my nest kind of thing. Ian and I like to joke about it. It's like, a goose, we call it the goose party. It's a goose party like every day. So is anybody else like noticing that? It's like insane, like the amount of squawking that is going on. And sometimes I'll look outside and I'll be like, geez, like they're really crazy. And there's only like 2. And I'm like, you are so loud. Like 2 of you are making that much ruckus. But I will say there is one goose, and I think she's sitting on her nest at the pond entrance to our development. And I have to say, it warms my heart. I just see her little head like peeking out of the grass. And cause she's like I don't know, she's in like a bush or like tall grass. Anyways, I'm like, you go, mama, you sit on that nest. Now that I have the base set down, I just take a translucent powder. You can use any powder, and I set that. Now, sometimes I don't set my base very heavily. If I'm doing a really dark smoky eye and I want a ton of depth, I will very lightly set, or maybe not at all. You don't have to set the P. Louise base really, but because I covered up my brow, I really want that set down as much as possible. So my next step for my eyes is I usually just do 1 or 2 mattes in the crease. I feel like it just gives me a little bit of definition and just gives me a little bit of contour to the eye. And a lot of times you guys will see me go in with pinks. So I want to show you my go-to palettes quickly. If I'm going in with neutrals, lately I've been loving the Makeup by Mario Master Mattes, but I thought today I would use pinks, but I did want to mention this. This is a go-to for me. I tend to like just mattes in my crease, and this just is buildable, easy to work with. I love the tones, so I use that a lot. I also tend to reach for my Fave palette a lot. I have raved about this palette. I'm excited to see more colorways because this does lean very warm, very, very warm. I mean, you can see the light shades here are very warm, so I definitely reach for this when I want more of a mustard tone, very warm brown, whereas this Makeup by Mario is more like everyday neutral, but these blend absolutely incredibly. Like, this is one of the easiest formulas to work with in my opinion. So I'm excited to see more colors, but this is a palette I reach for a lot if I'm just gonna do 1 or 2 shades in the crease. But today I think I wanna do a little bit of that pink tone because I have been using pinks a lot recently. Sometimes I use a blush, but a lot of times I will grab for something like this, which is my Mercury Retrograde by Huda Beauty. This is not new, but this is such a great quality palette if you want really like dusty, pretty pink pastels, but they're dusty. A lot of times I'll jump into this color, or if I want a little bit more cool toned, I'll grab this. I could grab this. Sometimes I'll mix these. So there's really no, rhyme or reason to what I do. I really like to look for just a light, pinky peachy color. That's just what works for me. So I thought today I would stick with the pinky theme, and I'm going to use this Huda Beauty palette. I'm actually going to mix these 2 shades right here. So a little bit of that peachy tone, but also a little bit more cool tone, and I'm just going to dust that in my crease. I tend to prefer, like, look how pigmented that is. It's so pigmented, and I barely even dipped in. I just tend to prefer matte in my crease. I don't know what it is. I see a lot of people look so beautiful with like a shimmer on the lid. For me, it's just not, I don't know. It's not what I gravitate towards. For whatever reason, I gravitate towards mattes on the eyes. So I'm just gonna place this in the crease. There's really nothing crazy about this. It's really pretty easy because we're going to focus more on the wing. And if you struggle with winged liner, I can give you my tips as well. But doing your eyes first can really help, because if you mess up, it's so much easier to fix it when you're not trying to work around an already set face. Okay, so that's really all I do in terms of eyeshadow. I really like to focus on the wing, and I really like to lift the wing, also the brows, and I feel like it just gives me a more lifted, snatched look. So for liner, I'm gonna use the KVD Vegan Beauty Tattoo Liner in Trooper. Sometimes I use brown. Probably would use brown more so when I have like a neutral eyeshadow rather than the pinky one that we have. But these I find to be the easiest, or a brush tip. So like the M Cosmetics brush tip is a great one. I like brush tip liners, not felt tip. Felt tip I feel like can skip, whereas a brush tip really glides. Now I did do an in-depth eyeliner sort of portion in one of my videos. I can link it down below. But essentially what I've been liking is only doing a half wing. So not bringing the black all the way in here because I feel like it closes off my eye, and also angling it really high up. So instead of pulling my wing out this way, I'm gonna go up higher. So I'll kind of demo it. It's very hard to do the wing and talk, so I'm not gonna be able to talk, but essentially I'm going to place my liner this way and drag out, and then I'm gonna flip it and drag down. So that's the way you wanna use the liner pen. You don't wanna try to do it like this, and then you're gonna be like shaking. You want the brush to do the work for you. So whichever way you're gliding, you wanna pull the liner that way. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my winged liner. Hopefully I can be in frame. You know what? You never know. Usually I'm like hunched over in front of the mirror, but I'll do my best. Okay, so that's the first line that we're gonna do here. So you can see how I've really got it pointing up towards my brow. The next step is to pull it down, but instead of pulling my wing out, I've pulled it up. So that way it's gonna lift the whole face, and that's what I've just been preferring recently. So you see how I pulled it down? So it's not perfect, but we've got an outline here. So let's fill this in. And then what I'm gonna do is perfect it. So instead of going under, I'm gonna keep pulling from the top and pulling in until I'm satisfied. So we're getting more where I'm satisfied, but I still want a little bit more lift here. So you just have to keep kind of playing around with it. But let's say you mess up under here. No big deal, wipe it off and just clean up underneath and try to fix it that way rather than disrupting your foundation and all of that stuff. Okay, so here's more what I'm looking for. You can see I've stopped halfway in my eye. Now I can see that I have a little bit of unevenness on the outer corner, like very, minuscule, but I wanna fix that. So now instead of pulling in, I'm gonna pull out and make sure I'm perfecting that. So I feel like this is where I wanna be. It's very sharp, and if I wanna even sharpen it more, I have a Q-tip with makeup remover on the end, and I'm literally just gonna keep cleaning up until I feel like it's just as sharp as I want it to be. Again, you can use concealer, whatever you'd like, but this is why I've been doing my eyes first, really so that I have control. If I do mess up with my liner or if I mess up with my eyebrows, those are like my biggest things that I can fix it. So my wings are on. They're not 100% perfect, but it's good enough for me. Listen, we can only do what we can do. So don't beat yourself up. Like nobody else is gonna be like, your wings are not perfect. So now I'm gonna go in with some mascara. I'm just gonna use this Lily Lashes Triple X. I do like this. This is one that just sits top drawer. So I'm just prepping for false lashes. And I'm gonna tell you about a favorite pair of my lashes, or favorite, what's the word I was thinking of? A pair of lashes that I enjoy, okay? I actually bought like 5 more pairs of them because I was sent a bunch of lashes from this brand, and then I literally fell in love with this one style. And I try to focus it like more so in the front because we're only gonna be doing like half lashes. Another reason I like doing my liner only halfway in is because I feel like then you can actually see that I have lashes, so I don't necessarily need falsies, which makes me feel a little bit more comfortable. So the lashes that I've been using and loving, I use all types of lashes. If I'm not doing a wing, I typically will do bigger lashes to really, get like drama to my eyes. But if I'm doing a wing, I typically just do the outer edges. So these are actually cut and I've already worn them. These are from Too Faced and they're the Faux Mink Sex Kitten lashes. And something about these just looks so flattering on the eye. There's like literally Winnie hairs in there. Alrighty. I always see people talk about cat hairs. We have Pomeranian hairs stuck in here. So just to give you a close-up of what this looks like, I just cut the outer edge and it just really flares out and looks beautiful with a winged liner. So I've let the glue sit for a minute and I'm gonna go ahead and set the lash on. All right, so eyes are essentially done. I like it because it's quick, easy, but I just like the way it looks. I love the lifted look, and once we put concealer on, we'll really sort of sharpen it up. So let's talk about skin prep. I really change my moisturizer depending on my mood, depending on what I'm looking for, depending on my skin, but I do have staples, and I would say that this is a staple for me, which is the Freck Rich Bitch Moisturizer. I've used this consistently for a long time. I recommended it in my recommendations video. I've also really been enjoying a newer one to me, which is Dominique Cosmetics Blur and Moisture Serum Primer. You can see how much I've been enjoying this, like a lot. This is 1 ounce. I'm probably halfway through. Today I am going to use the Dominique one because I just feel like it really moisturizes but also smooths my skin. So I use it, 3 pumps of it. It's a gel texture. And I'm just going to apply that all over the skin. I've started a new skincare routine. I've introduced 2 new products and they're both, actually 3 new products, and they're all like under $15, which just makes me so happy, and I feel like a change in my skin, a change in my acne. Of course, I still have scarring and stuff, but let me know down below if you've noticed a change in my skin. Even Ian has commented on it, and when you know when the man comments on your skin, it's like, whoa. Like when he notices and says like your skin looks more even, less red, less breakouts, you know something good is happening. So next I do want to use sort of an illuminating primer. I have a couple that I really like, and I tend to put this just on my forehead and the high points of my face. I like the Rare Beauty one. I have the smaller size. This is the illuminating primer. I like it because it has a gel-like texture, but it gives me a little bit of just like a glowy look. Also really love the NARS Radiance. Of course I love this. I mean, look what I've gone through. They're both very similar. Today I'm going to go in with the Rare Beauty. I just do basically like one pump. This is just really for my forehead more so. It's because I feel like my forehead is dry. I put it up here too, but I don't put it like over my pores typically. My forehead is like the place that's dry and needs, you know, that glow. Even like up here too, but my T-zone gets oily. And then of course I always use a pore filling primer. For me, this is a just step I cannot skip because I just have such large pores. My favorite is the Timeless Smoothing Primer from Tarte. This is an OG product. You can see that I have gone through this. I also really like the Hailey's Beauty. So I do bounce around, but lately I have been using this one more often. So I just sort of spackle this right into my pores. This is not a primer that I use all over. Just use it mainly right around my nose. Okay, so now that we've prepped my skin, I'm gonna go in with foundation. Now I have 3 top foundations, I would say, that I sometimes mix them, or depending on the shade, or depending on the longevity of my makeup, that I switch between. And that's gonna be the Too Faced Born This Way Matte. Love this foundation. I'm almost out of one completely, but I do rotate through 3 different colors. This one is super long wear. I love it. It's almost like a lighter double wear. So I do like that one. I also love the Hailey's Beauty. Very similar, honestly, to the Too Faced. They have a very similar wear time and feel to them. The Too Faced is a little bit sheer and the Hailey's is a little bit thicker. And then I have the NARS. I love the NARS. This foundation is the highest coverage, but most like natural looking, I guess, a long wear foundation. It has that soft matte feel. A lot of times I'll use one of these and then just put a pump, or not a pump, a squeeze of the NARS in there. Today I'm just gonna use the NARS just because if I'm going for full glam, I really do reach for this a lot. I have the shade Medium 3 Stromboli. It's an olive toned medium shade. It's a little bit deep for me. But I bought another one at the sale. I think I bought Santa Fe because it was like medium with warm undertones, and it's too light. So I'm like, oh, like I can't find the right shade. So I sometimes, again, will just like mix in because these are like more on my, you know, shade level. So let's go ahead and use this today. I'm almost out of this, and now I'm sort of kicking myself like, why did I not buy the same shade? Because I thought, oh, I'll just go a little bit lighter, but it's too light for me. So I also tend to prefer a sponge to apply my foundation. See how it's just a little bit, I don't know, it's not the right shade, but once I pull it down my neck and once I get concealer on, just can't seem to find the right shade. I tried another one thinking like it would be right, and it's not. Okay, so I have a show recommendation for you guys. I am so obsessed with it, and I'm so sad that it's over. It was on Netflix, but I feel like they took it off, or they're going to, which I'm like, why? Have any of you guys seen Kingdom? It's about like an MMA gym. And you guys, whew, I literally bawled my eyes out on the last 2 episodes. There's like 3 seasons, I want to say, and we binged them in like a few weeks. We watched like 2 or 3 episodes every day. It's one of those shows that evokes emotion in you. Sad, but then funny, but then chaotic, but then troubling, but then you relate to it, but then you feel awful about it. You know, there's drug addiction, there's sex, there's family issues, there's opening up to your family about being gay, and just so many things. And the acting was just phenomenal. If you've seen it, you know. I was looking for shows to watch, and I came across this. I said similar shows to Animal Kingdom, because Animal Kingdom we ended up really enjoying. It took a while to get into it, but it had that really crazy like family dynamic, just, you know, drama, drugs, sex, all that, sort of like a Breaking Bad kind of thing. And then I found the show Kingdom, and I have to say Jay stole the show. He was like literally born to do that role. I cried so many times. It was just such a great show. So if you haven't seen Kingdom and you want something to binge, and you like Breaking Bad, Ozark, Animal Kingdom, Sons of Anarchy, like if you like stuff like that, Bloodline, you will love Kingdom. And it's just, there's so many facets to the show, but the acting and the casting was just phenomenal. Okay, so that is my foundation on. I think the reason I love this is because it gives that even coverage that covers my redness, but it also looks quite smooth. Like even though it's not set, it's not heavy, tacky, and I don't like that feeling anyways. So let's go in with concealer next. This is where I'm really gonna sharpen the wing and brighten up under the eye. So I tend to go for my Born This Way a lot. This is just one of my staple concealers for full glam. I also love the Kimchi Chic, so sometimes I'll mix these two, which I probably will today. I like the Kimchi because it's really brightening. The color I have really just kind of sharpens up the wing. And if I'm having a more dry under eye day, I'll go for my Power Fabric. I just really like this to add some moisture. But today, because we're doing like full glam, I'm gonna mix the Too Faced. I have the shade Shortbread and the Kimchi Chic, which is medium beige. And I typically don't use a boatload of concealer, only because I don't need that with this foundation. And also it will sort of just gunk up around my pores and make my pores look cakey. So the Too Faced shade is definitely yellow tone, but I think it's fine. It definitely brightens up. And then I add a little tiny bit of the Kimchi just because of the shade. And then I'm just gonna use the Kimchi on the outer edges to really sharpen up my wing. And I really try to keep my concealer up high, like I said, so I can keep the coverage, and I don't want it to come down and really cake up my pores. That's personally why I don't do the triangle concealer. I know a lot of gurus do that because they want that like full coverage. For me, the foundation is enough, and I don't want any more heaviness on my pore area. So I just sort of pull this up, and it really just sharpens. And then of course you just want to just lightly blend it out. So next up, a setting powder is very important for me. I want something that's really gonna smooth the skin, brighten the center of my face. So I have a few that I reach for. The Huda Beauty and Pound Cake, I love this. I've used this consistently for a long time. I also love the Hailey's Beauty Retouch. This works so well with their foundation, just very smoothing and sets things down. And I also love the Kimchi Chic in 03. So these three are like top picks for me. So today I think I'm gonna go in with my Huda Beauty. I tend to like this one a lot right under my eyes and in my T-zone because of the color of it. It's like a light kind of beigey color, and it really brightens under my eyes. So I do take a generous amount, and I really press it in under my eye, and I pull it down here. So any pores, texture, smile lines, and I just press it into the skin. And then for the remainder of my face, I am gonna use the Hailey's Retouch. This one has more of a yellow tint to it, so it's a little bit less brightening, but I'm gonna use this to set the rest of my face. And then I just take a flat brush and just very lightly dust away any excess. So next I want to finish my brows before we finish off the face. So I usually now go in with a brow gel, something that's really going to give me that feathered effect. So my picks are the ABH Brow Freeze. I'll use this a lot. I also love the Refined Beauty, but I actually have been favoring, since I got it, the ColourPop, which is the Feather Effect Styling Wax. I like the tinted one. I feel like it gives me a little bit of color, a little bit of a base. So I'm going to use this. They also did send over or this spoolie, which I've been enjoying. So basically I just wet this with a setting spray and then I brush this up with the tool, and that kind of gives me the shape for my brows, and then I just fill them in and finish them off. The only thing is sometimes I hold this wand weird and I'm like, am I doing this right? So I'm just brushing up my brow hairs. So I like to brush them up and then I just take my Benefit Precisely My Brow and kind of push them towards the skin so they just set. So it should be something like this. It just gives me the lifted brow look. It really just stands my brow hairs up and gives me that feathery look. And then lastly, I just fill in the tail. So you can see my actual microblading comes down here, but I do my best to sort of just bring it up. I just feel like it really lifts the eye rather than my brow tail coming down and touching the winged liner. And then I just do hair-like strokes. Now that my brows and eyes are done, let's move on to finishing off the face. So I usually go in with my Dior contour palette. This is the Backstage Contour. It's nothing new, but I love this. I use it all the time. And I'm gonna go in with this shade right here. I actually just used a little Benefit brush that comes with the Benefit palettes. And I use this to contour. So I do this prior to bronzing just to kind of give me a little bit of shape to my face, you know, because I'm lacking that. And then next I'm going to go in with bronzer. I actually am going to use my Physicians Formula just because I love this. This is the Matte Butter Bronzer. I've recommended this before. I also really love the Gucci bronzer. I have the shade 3, and then I also love the Dark Powder for Jouer. These are probably my top 3 most used bronzers, but I love the Physicians Formula because it's so light and easy to work with. It just gives me that suntan look. It's very warm, but it's very forgiving. So I like to keep my bronzer pretty high. Just try to go right above where I put that contour. This one just blends effortlessly. Like, it's so easy. I just really wish they would have more shades, like a lot more shades. There's only 2 and it's like, really? So for blush, I love cream blushes. You guys know that, but for a long wear all night routine, I probably would go for a powder blush, which would probably be the Patrick Ta Duos or my Lawless. I really enjoy. I think today I'm gonna mix these two just because I mix powder all the time. So I'm gonna start off with Do We Know Her, and I'm gonna use the creamsicle powder side of this. So I'm just gonna apply this again, more towards my temple. And I'm choosing these colors because of the eyeshadow. And then I'm gonna go into Lawless. This is Sakura. This is a beautiful bubblegum pink. And apply that on top. In terms of highlight, I really love the Ofra Steph Tom's collaboration. This is the Milk and Cookies highlighter. Really been enjoying this. I also really love my Nabla Ozone. This is just like an OG favorite for me. Also the Jaclyn Cosmetics pressed highlighter in Iced. Today I think I actually am going to use Ozone just because I've been really enjoying this. And this formula is just so pretty. I love my Dior as well, my Dior Backstage highlighting palette. You guys know this. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this to highlight the face. Also gonna go down the center of my nose. So to finish off the eyes, I do take a little bit of mascara. This is just the Gucci one, and I just put it on the outer half of my eye. Sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't. Just really depends on my mood. I don't know. You know, whenever I'm in the mood to have mascara on, and then if I get a little too much, just take a Q-tip and voila. And to finish off lips, I do have a lot of lip liners I use. You've probably seen me use a lot of them here on my channel. Lately, I've been really enjoying the Nabla lip liners, and I have the shade Nude Number 5. I just love the tone of it. It's a deeper brown, but it's not too deep. So I can use it to get that contoured lip look. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply this. So I also like to fill in just the outer edges. And in terms of my lip stain, I've been using the same one for a while, but I don't think you can purchase it anymore. I got it off of Amazon, and the brand is APIEU Marker Tint Pen. It's a Korean beauty brand, and I have the shade Call Me Coral. If I can find it, I'll link it. But I usually just apply some right in the center of my lips. I've been doing this for years, and I just like the way it looks. I've considered getting like lip blush, which is a tattoo, but I'm like, you know what? No, I'll just use this. It's easier, and I don't want to mess up my lips, you know, for the rest of my life. I just don't know the long-term effects of it. So now for lipstick, I have two that I've been favoring recently. If I want more of a nude tone, I love Fave Treasure. It's just so beautiful, and I'm probably going to use that today. For a pink tone, still a nude, but it's more pink, I love Grace from Bare Minerals. You've probably seen me use both of these recently, but today I'm going to go in with Treasure from Fave. I mix up my lipsticks, you know, but I'm just thinking like what I've been really, really, really loving lately. So I just take Treasure and I sort of just put it on like that, which looks crazy. But I just like to take a brush. You can take your finger, whatever you'd like, and just blend the edges. And if you need a little bit more, just apply a tiny bit more, but I just feel like this is such a beautiful combo. And then I am going to add a little bit of lip gloss. I really love the Tower 28 Milky Jelly lip glosses. I've talked about those. I also love the KKW. Lately, I've been reaching for the Artist Couture, which I think I am going to grab today. I think I'm going to grab Thirst Trap. I love a thick pigmented gloss like this to really lighten up or just make the center of my lips pop. So I'm only going to apply like the tiniest amount. And that would be probably how I would finish my lips. Also because these play nicely with lipsticks. I also really like these for long wear because they're thicker, so they're just gonna kind of give you that shine, but they're not gonna slip and slide around. You don't really have to reapply them very often because they have a thicker texture. And then my final step in my routine is I do like to use a Freck pen. I really like to just go over moles that I've covered with full coverage foundation, and then I do add a couple more dots. For me, I just like the way it looks. I know some people don't like it, but it's just my personal preference. And the final step, of course, is to use my Charlotte Tilbury setting spray. I just love this. I feel like it really does melt your powders down a little bit, but also just locks your makeup in all day. So I'm gonna go ahead and spritz my face with this. See how it gives me a little bit of like setting my powders down, but it's not dewy by any means. It just sort of, I don't know, melts your powders down, but also locks in your makeup. All right, guys, so here's my finished makeup look. This is my go-to glam. Maybe you've seen me wear this in previous videos, or you've wondered how I do my wing, how I do my brows, my lips, my go-to products. I will link everything down below. As I said, things rotate, so when I find new products, I might replace them and kind of move them in and out. And you'll see if you check in my description boxes, I've been trying to do makeup I'm wearing, so you can see what I've been wearing, but those three foundations have just been top picks for me. Just feel like this is the most flattering makeup for me personally. I love lifting my brow. I love lifting my eyes. I feel like it just makes me look a little bit more snatched. And for me, I love matte skin just because it's gonna wear all day and really keep me smooth in the pore area. So I will leave a link to everything that I talk about today if I can find it. If you have any questions down below, totally let me know. What is your go-to makeup look? This is my go-to glam, not every day, but this is like my go-to. Let's say if we were going to a concert or a wedding, this is kind of what I would do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you out and maybe gave you some products to try out if you've been wondering what I've been wearing in a lot of my videos. I hope you'll consider subscribing if you're new here. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.